This is the brand new flagship camera from Insta360, the Ace Pro 2. So co-engineered with Leica, we've got some incredible new hardware that makes this action camera probably one of the best that I've ever used. This is the first action camera with a groundbreaking dual AI chip paired with the next-gen 1/1.3-inch 8K sensor. The dual chip design makes the camera smarter, more efficient, and gives you absolutely stunning image quality even in low light. The Ace Pro 2 gives you a versatility that can handle pretty much any situation that you put this in. Action, sports, travel, even daily life, blogs. It features a 2.5-inch flip touchscreen, rugged design, and some big improvements with audio, with a removable wind guard and improved noise reduction algorithms in the camera itself. Welcome back, everyone. I have something really cool that I want to share with you today. This is the Insta360 Ace Pro 2, and there's a lot of really cool upgrades on here. So first thing I want to talk about is this camera was co-engineered with Leica, so we've got a Summit lens on here, and we have all the Leica color profiles also, which are going to give you a lot of versatility in filming. We'll go through those in just a second, but I want to talk about the big new feature on here. This is the very first action cam to feature dual processors. So the last version, the Insta360 Ace Pro, just had one processor. It's a strong processor, but now they've doubled it up, and this allows us to do more in camera. It gives you more power in terms of image stabilization, in terms of noise reduction, performance enhancements, and even efficiency. So the next generation 1/1.3-inch 8K sensor does support up to 13.5 stops of dynamic range, which is excellent. It's also got upgraded performance, supporting 4K 60 frames per second with active HDR and 8K at 30 frames per second. All right, so I mentioned we have that dual AI chip design. So the way this works is we have two processors. One is an imaging processor and the other is an AI processor. They're doing different things. We've got 100% more computing power now, and it will do awesome stuff for you like noise reduction in low light. You're going to get much better image quality on here, and I think this is something that puts this camera up into a realm that we haven't seen from Insta360, and it is really good. All right, so I want to talk about audio and the Ace Pro 2. So one of the questions I get asked every time I do one of these videos is, hey Ted, what mic are you using? I'm just using the built-in mic that's on this camera. It sounds really good. And the other cool thing is the new design on the Ace Pro 2. We've got a windscreen, and so this comes on the camera. It's already on when you take it out of the box, and this does an awesome job at rejecting wind noise. You don't hear little breezes that rustle through. The other thing that's really cool is if you want to remove that, let's say you want to film underwater, that the camera does come with a lens cap, so you can replace it with that. And so both those attachments are included with the camera. Now, the other cool thing is we have some options in the audio settings. Now, you might notice that behind me is a big street, and we do have a little bit of traffic on there. And let's say there's a lot of traffic and it's really noisy and I want to reject that. Well, what we can do is go into a mode called voice enhancement. Let's check that out. All right, now you can notice that we have cars passing by, but my voice is isolated, and so it's really cool. In fact, it isolates it really well in the testing that I've done, and you really don't hear much of anything. So if you're really picky about having good audio on your voice, this is a really cool option to have. And the third option is a stereo option. This is probably going to be the most ideal if you're recording a musical performance or something where you want a fuller sound and with a stereo environment. And so for stuff like this, I'm probably going to stick with voice enhancement or just the standard wind reduction. They both sound really good. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little walking right now to show off the flow state image stabilization. The image stabilization with Insta360 cameras is some of the best that I've ever used. It really is good. I'm walking, and if I didn't have this on right now, it'd be jittery and be bouncing all over the place. The other cool thing is that we have active HDR, and you're going to notice in a second, I'm going to go into the sun here. It's going to balance the exposure out really nicely. And so things that are in dark shadows or bright highlights, one of the problems that you have when you're filming outdoors is because you have such an incredible dynamic range that needs to be captured in camera, and active HDR does an awesome job with handling that with ease. Another thing that I mentioned earlier is this camera is actually co-engineered with Insta360 and Leica. So we've got some new color profiles. So in addition to the standard and vivid profiles that have been in the Ace Pro cameras, the Ace Pro 2 allows you to have a Leica natural as well as a Leica vivid, and there's also some film looks if you want to do different things to get different visual looks to your footage. There's a lot of options available here. And speaking of options for visual impact, let's talk about the lens for a second. So the lens actually has different modes, and these have been on Insta360 cameras. So you can do things like get the widest angle possible, or you can do things like this where I'm using a linear or a D-warp function. But there are actually 7 modes that you have on here, including a new linear function, and there also are settings for 45-degree horizon lock as well as 360 Insta360 horizon lock. That makes it so when I turn the camera, well, I'm doing it now and you're not seeing anything because it actually locks the horizon. Another lens option that we can take advantage of is something that Insta360 called clarity zoom. So basically, I'm recording now with the lens. If I double tap on the screen, it's going to give me a 2x punch into that middle of that picture. So I'll go ahead and give you an example. It will do this while you record, and it zooms in, and now I've got a completely different look. So it's like having two lenses in one. And the way this works is it's not a digital zoom, it's actually cropping in. Because we have such a high resolution on this new sensor that it allows us to be able to make use of those pixels and by just being able to punch in. So you don't lose any resolution doing this. It is really cool. And I can also punch back out. Works great. There's also some shooting modes you should know about in this camera too. So in addition to being able to take photos, do video, do hyperlapse or time lapse, you can also do things like what they call pure video. Pure video works really well for night lights when you are in darker light and you need highlight compression. It works better than any of the other action cameras that I've ever used. It's really pretty nice. Another cool mode they have is one called free frame video. This is going to allow you to basically, gives you some interesting cropping marks, but it allows you to be able to film to where you can export in post-production when you're in the app in any aspect ratio you want, whether that's 16:9 vertical, horizontal, or you can even export it as a square, and it gives you all of your frame lines and markings in here, so it makes it really easy to film. Another color option available on the Ace Pro 2 is we now have the ability to record in a log profile. So I'm going to go ahead and switch this camera into log so you can see what that looks like. So at first glance, log footage looks really gray, washed out. If you've never seen it, it's kind of desaturated, and this is done for a reason. What the camera is doing is it's actually putting the most or the maximum dynamic range into the file as possible. You're going to grade this in post-production, and actually Insta360 has a LUT for this. If I go ahead and I'll grade it now so you can see what it looks like, but this allows me to be able to control everything in post-production. This is a more professional feature, but I think people who do want this in an action camera are going to really like it, and it's going to be very useful. Another really cool thing about the Ace Pro 2, and actually this has been present on most of the recent Insta360 releases, but we have ways of controlling the camera where we don't actually have to press the buttons with our hands. So we've got gesture control as well as voice control, and this is super handy. So gesture control has improvements now, so I can basically give it hand signals to start or stop the recording, and it will recognize them even if you've got like ski gloves on, which is super handy. Now voice control, and this is version 2.0, is really awesome as well. So I can just simply use my voice to say things like start recording, the camera starts recording, or I can say stop recording, and it will stop. You can also do things like if you're in the middle of a clip and you want to actually mark something, so it'll put a marker in there so you know where it is. You can just say mark this clip. It offers a lot of control where you don't actually have to touch the physical camera to be able to do things. So that's really awesome. Another really cool new feature on here is Insta360 has added timecode support in here, which is awesome because you can be filming with 3 or 4 cameras like in a car with various mounts, and then it's super easy to sync up in post by just using the timecode. And speaking of editing, I also want to talk about editing with the Insta360 because it's really awesome the way this pairs up with the app if you're using your phone, and so it's really easy to connect once you've set it up that first time, which is pretty easy. Then it automatically sees your camera when you open up the app. It'll say, hey, do you want to reconnect? You say yes, it goes in. Now we have several things that will help us with editing that are really awesome for beginners or people who are a little less confident in an editing app, and the first one is called AI Highlights Assistant. So when you turn this on, basically what it's going to do is it's going to pay attention to what you're recording, and it's going to allow you to be able to review your clips later. And it's going to mark certain things using AI that it sees as highlights. And you can go through these all in camera, and you can say, hey, save these, delete these. It's a great way of saving space on your SD card, and then you can take it into the app and just let AI edit the whole thing, and then you can spit out a video that is ready to go and looks awesome. And of course, there's other ways to use AI to edit within the app. You can use things like ShotLab or Flash Cut, which are going to give you templates. They'll tell you how many clips it needs to put together. And for people who are less experienced with editing that just want something quickly that they can use, this is a really awesome way to go. We've been mostly talking about shooting video, but I do want to note that the Ace Pro 2 does feature 50 megapixel still photos, and these are compatible with all of the Leica color profiles. I like this because it gives me a lot of resolution to work with, especially if you're going to downsample and you're going to upload something, let's say Instagram, but it really looks good. It gives you a lot of clean visuals that you can use whether you're shooting video or stills. Now, another thing I want to mention is we do have a redesigned battery. There's 2 configurations that you can get with this camera. You can get it with a single battery, which will give you 100 180 minutes of filming time, or you can get one that has 2 batteries in it. It comes in a kit. And this is kind of nice if you're going to be out for a while and you have no way of recharging. Now, if you do have a way of recharging, we do have USB-C power delivery as well as fast charging capabilities. So you can get this up to 80% in about 18 minutes. And then it takes actually about 47 minutes to get it all the way up to 100%. But this is a much improved battery system for this. This is a deal because most people are going to be using this camera when you're out shooting in the field, and you may or may not have a USB brick or something where you can just recharge instantly. But it does charge quickly when you do, or you can get a kit with 2 batteries, which is pretty awesome. There's also a new endurance mode that you can activate on the Ace Pro 2. This is another way to basically put it in efficiency mode, so at like 4K 30p, you're going to get about 50% more battery life out of this. It's great to use when you're in a pinch. And I also want to make a comment about the screen, because the screen actually has been redesigned. It's going to look really similar when you hold these cameras up side by side. The screen actually is slightly bigger, the color is much better, and it is brighter. And this is engineered to be able to see in bright sunlight or with sunglasses on if you've got Polaroid lenses. But anyway, it's really nice, and I think the other thing that is much improved here is simply the durability of it. It's not going to break or bend on you. It's a very solidly built camera. All right, so when you get the Insta360 Ace Pro 2 in the box, you're going to receive the battery, and I mentioned that there is a combo where you can get 2 batteries that is available. You're also going to get the wind guard, which comes pre-installed on the Ace Pro 2, as well as the mic cap. You're going to use the mic cap if you want to take this thing underwater. Didn't mention it earlier, but this is waterproof up to about 12 meters, which is going to give you a lot of flexibility. I can also remove the lens cap on here. What's nice about that, I would keep it on most of the time to protect the lens, but if you want to use something like ND filters and some of the other accessories that are available for this, that is an option. Now, speaking of accessories, you are going to get the mounting clip. This does come with the camera. Now, the way this works is Insta360, everything is kind of this magnetic system. Makes it really easy to take the camera on and off of things if you want to mount it on different things, and it gives you a really strong connection once it is mounted. So it's basically magnets on the top, the way it connects to the camera, and then you kind of have this GoPro attachment at the bottom, which is going to give you a lot of flexibility on accessories you might already have even. So this is one of my favorites. This is called the multi-mount, and it's got 2 hinges here, so I can basically craft this and mold it into whatever I want it to be. If I want it to be a longer selfie stick, and it also has foldable legs that come out, so you can make it a longer tripod or even a shorter tripod, so you get a lot of flexibility here. And the way it works is I have the included mount already mounted on here. It's just a GoPro attachment, and it allows me just to take the camera, and really easy. I can stick it on or I can take it off, and so it makes mounting just a breeze. You don't have to unscrew things. Insta360 also have a vertical horizontal mount, which is really cool if you're going back and forth between doing vertical or horizontal video. It's just an L mount, and the way this works is it just attaches directly to the camera in one spot, and then it has those magnetic connections. So if I want to put it on the multi-mount, I can just do so if I want to record horizontal video, and as soon as I want to move to vertical, I would just simply turn it on the side. There's another set of connections here, and now I can shoot vertical video. Another thing I really love about this magnetic system is everything just snaps in and out of place. So this is really handy if you're out in the field. Let's say you have gloves on or something like that. There's no knobs to turn or anything that fiddly. And one other thing that they sent me that I think is pretty cool is the carrying case here. This is the little mini carrying case, and it's pretty simple. It just opens up like so. You can put the Insta360 Ace Pro in there, and you can also carry batteries or whatever other little accessories you want to have with you in here, and it's a really cool way of having everything ready to go on the fly. So the Ace Pro 2 is a major upgrade from what we had with the Ace Pro, and if somebody were to ask me, is this worth upgrading to, I would say, yeah, I wouldn't even think twice, mainly because it's so much more powerful. We've got that dual AI chip that I talked about, so there's more processing power in here. We've got basically the next-gen sensor that gives you up to 8K video, the new lens. I think the Leica implementations with the color profiles are awesome, and this makes an amazing camera for people who want to do daily vlogging, if you want to be able to travel with something and you just need a small camera that would fit in your pocket, it would fit easily in your bag. You can pull it out and get incredible quality video with a lot of variety to it. So if you want to order your Ace Pro 2, or if you want to learn more, check out the link below this video. I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, later.